In this video, we're going to assemble and install the Ultra Tow aluminum carrier. There are different brands. This is a smaller one. They're very specific, so you need to be careful. You need to know what you want to tow ahead of time. Just don't go out and buy one and think, oh, I could throw the bikes on it or just a bunch of luggage on there or whatever. They're very limited in their use. I was going to use it to go to the gas station and get fuel. I have a bunch of fuel cans and I don't like it in the car, and if I spill any, the smell won't be in the car. So anyway, that's my motive. However, I didn't want to pay the $150 to $180 for it. So Northern had it on sale for, let's see if I can get on camera here, $99.99. And I had a $10 coupon. You know, they mail you those coupons, $20, $10, and $5, which I'm going to talk about. So it came to $94.76. That's what I paid for it because of tax here in Virginia. Northern coupons. I could not use the $20 coupon because it's $99.99. And even though they add tax and it goes over $100, that doesn't make the coupon good. The price of the item has to be above $100.00. And what's really interesting is it has to be above 100. So $100.01. So the $99.99 throws the $20 coupon out the window, but I did get $10 off. And like I said, paid basically $95 for it. And that is reasonable. I mean, will I get my money out of it? I kind of doubt it, but I really wanted it for gasoline going back and forth. So that, as they say, is that. Let's put it together. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, first thing I noticed is they have a pamphlet in here. It's got words on it, but I'm a guy, I'm not allowed to read it before I assemble it. Okay, they do have pictures, so that should help out. It also comes with a hitch pin, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, they go through the classifications, class 2, class 3, and weights, and they kind of stress it like at least twice, just glancing over it, that you do not want to overload these things, and you don't want to place the wrong equipment on here, like I mentioned earlier. They said contact your distributor to determine if you can or should be performed on the product. Good words. So, you know, it goes over the weights and the class 2 and 3 hitch capacities. And it says don't use the carrier until you first contacted the distributor to determine if it can or should be performed on the product. What does that mean? It means, hey, don't load crap on there that you shouldn't be loading on there. I mean, it's extremely light duty. Oh, it has a nice picture of how you put the nuts and bolts together. Very good. They go on and on about maintaining it, check it all the time before you use it. You know, that's kind of standard practice, kind of a little bit of lawyery stuff. They say 16, 13, 7mm wrenches are needed, and then you need a 5 and 6mm key. So, all right. Again, let me emphasize, this is really light duty. I'm telling you, these aluminum pieces are super, super light, super, super thin. Just carrying my fuel cans, yeah, I wouldn't put too much on this thing. Luggage, maybe some luggage you're overfilled You got to carry people instead of luggage. I don't use roof racks. I have roof racks. I don't ever use them. I'm also kind of short. It might be good for luggage. The receiver, although, the receiver's pretty good. This is definitely steel. It is kind of thin though. I mean, what is that, 1/8 of an inch? Hopefully I'm on camera. I can't tell because I'm on the other side of the lens. Hardware's decent. Trailer hitch is very nice. I mean, the pin, excuse me. I mean, that thing is really, really nice. And then the hitch pin. The hardware, I would say the hardware is excellent, at least grade 5. Nice. I like these nylon locking nuts. Those are very good. I use them all the time. Typically I use flange locking nuts, but you know, with the nylon insert. I don't like the kind that are like stamped. So anyway, see if we can get this thing together. All right, it's not too complicated. So the big long Ultra Toe logo label piece has reflectors on it, so that's going to go on the back. So when someone's coming behind you in the dark, it'll have the reflectors on there. Then the side pieces are keyed so that it fits like this. You know, you can't put it on backwards. So that'll help determine that. Also, the construction is riveted. I don't know if I like that too much, but that's okay. Then the other thing is, they emphasize that these pieces, and they're cut out accordingly, go on the inside. So it'll go not on the outside, it'll go on the inside like that. Line up the holes, put your little teeny tiny screws in there. So let's get to work and do that. Alright, well, these are also locking nuts. That's a good thing. I like them. So it's going to be, you know, I don't know. I didn't measure it. 5mm. Let me measure it. Okay, I'm bragging. M5 by 0.8. I knew it was 5mm. I have to admit, I've been messing with hardware quite a bit lately. So, you know, I had the feel for it. So that was good. And these are 8 by 125. Okay, the aluminum welds look pretty good. I did some welding on aluminum, very little. I was only a tack welder. I was not a qualified welder, but I was qualified to tack weld, which these looks like tacks because they're really small. Tacks are less than 3 inches. That's what I was qualified for. When I worked in the shipyard, the only aluminum work I did was on the elevators for the aircraft carriers. So, but I only tack weld, and then a welder came behind me and finished putting in the parts, or welding all around, I should say. But they look pretty decent. I don't see any problems. All right, there is a top and bottom. It's pretty obvious. The top has a shelf on there, and the bottom is flat because the receiver over here needs to go on there, and it needs to sit on there flat. So you can't put it on the side with the lip here. Okay, there is a front and back on the long pieces and a left and right on the small side pieces, but it's easy to figure out because the way they have the plastic corners riveted in, one up, one down, and then the way you attach it to the bed, it's obvious how that goes. Alright, I don't know why I need a 6mm key. I don't know why that's called out in the instructions. This is a 8mm bolt and nut. This bolt uses a 5mm Allen. So I'm definitely confused. All I think we need is a 5mm Allen. Now for the trailer hitch, which I'm showing backwards here. Now the bolts that go on for the trailer hitch are the same as the bolts that go on the four corners. However, they also get washers, where the bolts on the four corners do not get washers. And they don't say that in the instructions, but in the instructions where you put on the trailer hitch, they tell you to use the washers. So, but you put on the rails first. So it's kind of confusing if you see washers and you don't know where they go because you didn't read the entire thing first. So, you know, there's that. Also, the supporting brackets just have a single rivet in the center, so they do move. So you want it to align and start all your bolts before you tighten any one down. That way, if you have to shift it a little bit, you're not locked down. All right, for assembly, all the bolts go in and the nuts are on the inside. For the trailer hitch, the bolts go down from the top with a washer. And then the nuts come up from the bottom, the locking nuts. Okay, I used a setting of 13 on the M8s and a setting of 10 on the M5. So 14, it really wasn't. The ratchet would lock down, it wouldn't click, and then 15 and drill, I mean, that was just overkill. So, also, if I didn't mention previously, the locking nut goes on like this with the nylon out, facing out. So you can actually get it started by hand first to make sure you're threaded correctly before you zap it with the gun. If you try and put it on the other way, you're trying to deform the locking nylon gasket, and that doesn't really work. Okay, now that I caught my breath, there we are, all assembled. The bolts have been checked twice, once on installation, then I went around again and made sure my ratchet, or in this case my gun, clicked on all of the nuts and bolts. And I'm gonna take it down to the basement and throw it on the scale, see how much it weighs, and then I'll install it and show you what it looks like on the vehicle. Okay, this came in at 9.59, let's say 9.6 kilograms. And for all us Americans, it came out to 21.14 pounds. Let's see what it looks like on the vehicle. There is no safety chain. So, get my butt in front of the camera here. Better fit this 2-inch hitch. I'll be super pissed if it doesn't. Okay, I see the problem, but I'm taking measurements. So the hitch came in at a little over 2 inches. So now I'll measure the receiver. All right, the receiver's just a little bit bigger, and now I'll show you what the problem is. So the corners, I found in other things I've purchased, the corners are especially tough to fit in there. So anyway, it's what happens when you buy inexpensive stuff. You know, you're going to learn that. You buy cheap stuff to save money, and, you know, you run into problems. Some bad, some not so bad. Well, this video's ending poorly. I can't get it to fit. It will not go in there. Those corners and the top edge, or the bottom, depending on how you want to put it in there, just will not go in to a 2x2 receiver. So, fail. I have half of mine not to disassemble it, but I'm going to disassemble it, put it back in the box, take it back, get my refund. End of story. Sorry about that. Thank you for watching.